So glad you're joining me today. On this episode, we're diving into one of the most provocative and challenging works in the history of philosophy and theology, Jonathan Edwards' The Freedom of the Will. But hang on, we're not talking about the old, intimidating 18th century edition you may have heard about. We're actually exploring a brand new translation and commentary by S.C. Sayles. So what's the big question at the heart of this book? The core question is this: what does it actually mean to have freedom of the will? Is your freedom something self-originating, something that lets you choose absolutely anything at any time? Or is your will shaped and determined by your motives, your character, your deepest desires? And wait for it, if your will is determined, does that mean you're off the hook for what you do, or are you still responsible and accountable? These aren't just old, dusty philosophical ideas. They cut right to the heart of our modern assumptions about freedom, judgment, blame, and what it means to be a responsible human being. It's the kind of thing that comes up when you think about criminal justice, neuroscience, addiction, political responsibility. C. Sayles' edition is remarkable because it tries to remove the stuffy, dense language that used to keep readers away from Edwards' argument. Instead of softening or psychologizing the ideas, Sayles translates Edwards' logic faithfully, then offers commentary, but always keeps the two voices clearly separate. Edwards speaks for himself, no shortcuts, while the commentary aims to illuminate, not dilute, the challenge. So what's the actual argument? Well, Edwards sets out by defining the will very simply as the mind choosing. Not a mysterious power layered deep inside you, not a tug of war between faculties. It's the act of preferring, approving, inclining, all wrapped up in choosing. This clear-cut start cuts through the confusion about inner mechanisms and focuses responsibility exactly where action and judgment occur. One of the most famous parts of the argument is what Edwards calls moral necessity. He claims our will always follows the strongest motive present, not necessarily the best or most noble one, but just the motive that appears most agreeable to us at that moment. Motives aren't just wild impulses, they're this whole web of reasons, feelings, habits, and circumstances pressing in on the mind. This might sound deterministic, but Edwards wants to make a distinction. Necessity doesn't mean coercion. You always act according to your character and inclinations, never forced. So freedom isn't about being able to pick literally anything at random. It's about not being stopped from doing what you want, as weird as that may sound. And Edwards draws a really important line between natural necessity, like, not being able to fly if you suddenly wished you could, and moral necessity, which is about your actual desires in the moment. You might feel like you could have chosen otherwise in the abstract, but in the exact moment of choice, your will is drawn by what most strongly appeals to you. Responsibility in this view isn't about could I have done otherwise in some possible universe. It's about your actions being true expressions of who you are. Here's the kicker. The edition by S.C. Sayles refuses to make Edwards' claims less uncomfortable. Readers aren't offered easy ways out if Edwards is unsettling. The paper doesn't try to translate him into modern therapeutic psychology or offer quick reconciliations with our intuitions about free will. Instead, Sayles helps readers understand exactly what's at stake and why disagreements with Edwards are genuinely hard. So what does all this mean for you? Well, the argument forces anyone who reads it to wrestle with deep questions. Can we judge ourselves and others fairly if our choices are shaped by motives we didn't choose? Does understanding these motives make us more forgiving or more demanding of accountability? And if freedom is not what we thought, does that change how we talk about justice or even personal growth? I want to emphasize again, this edition by S.C. Sayles doesn't ask the reader to accept Edwards' ideas. The scholarship is all about clarity, not agreement. The hope is that the book gets you to think more deeply about the nature of human action, freedom, and responsibility. Your reflections might lead you to challenge Edwards, or maybe, to your own surprise, to agree with some of his claims. Either way, it's about taking these questions seriously, not settling for easy answers.